Governor Ventura, thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm really eager to hear your take on this because you are a former Navy SEAL. You served in Vietnam. And I have to ask you what you think of this attack from the Trump band's ticket on Governor Walz's military service.
Well, Laura, I'll tell you what I think. I think it's shameful. I think it's shameful that a veteran would attack another veteran. Governor Walz served honorably for 24 years in the National Guard. After 20 years, you are eligible to retire at any time you deem necessary. They talk about him missing his deployment. Well, maybe Mr. Vance should ask the real question. What is the National Guard doing deploying to a foreign country in a foreign war? Well, let's go into history and figure out how that happened. That happened because George W. Bush and Dick Cheney went into the Iraq War based on lies, no weapons of mass destruction, no ties to Al-Qaeda, nothing with 9/11, and they ran out of bodies. They needed more bodies. They couldn't implement a draft. That would be political suicide. So what George Bush did was sign an executive order sending the National Guard into foreign deployment. The National Guard is not for foreign deployment. Their name says what they do. They guard our nation from within.
Come on, Jesse, come on back home, Jesse. Come on back home, Jesse. With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show. There's more.
So this hogwash about Governor Walz missing a deployment, not only that, he's 24 years, he's an E9. I deployed twice. We never even had an E9 with us when we deployed. E9s are not going to walk the point. They're not going to be involved in any combat whatsoever. They're figureheads being the most senior enlisted within their company, and that's what it's all about. So I think that Vance is doing a disservice to himself and a disservice to the United States Marine Corps. I know a lot of great Marines, and Marines show respect. And Vance is not showing respect. And let's continue. Who does he have respect for? Donald Trump, the biggest draft dodger from the Vietnam War, the rich white boy who bought his way out of it. I come from South Minneapolis. My friends and I didn't get out of it. We either got drafted or we enlisted. I know 6 or 7 or 8 of my friends. Donald Trump was your typical rich white boy who didn't have to serve in Vietnam because he could buy his way out of it. And that's who Vance is standing with, this guy who leads from the rear.
I'll continue, Governor.
I don't understand his motive whatsoever, how he could turn against a fellow veteran. You know, there's kind of an unwritten rule amongst us veterans. You don't criticize another veteran. Not every veteran's a knuckle dragger. And I'm not going to define knuckle dragger because if you've been in the service, you'll know what a knuckle dragger is. But, you know, as a frogman in the United States Navy, my job was to ensure the Marines could get to shore to do their job. We went in ahead of them. We went in before them to ensure the Marines could land. And his point of being a Marine like he is and then criticizing the governor after 24 years of service, it's despicable on his behalf for doing that. And I hope all veterans feel like I do about it. You don't criticize another veteran and how they served, whether they're a cook or whatever they do. They all have a job to do. And if you're going to be successful, everybody has to do their job and pitch in to be successful.
He called Trump white boy. That's what Jesse said, the governor. I've disagreed with Jesse Ventura on some things, agree with him on some things as well. He got his mind back together now. So the dynamic of his context is correct. The context is correct. And a lot of people had philosophical issues with this and legal issues with this. But the morality of it is there's this rule. And so since you're gonna overstep Ventura, who always has believed in fairness, even if I believe he got a policy or two wrong, he has an authentic belief in fairness. He did that interview to even the odds, to say, no, this is not fair. And I have the ability to do this other part to try and help make sure this don't happen again. I appreciate him for that. Believe me, it's a whole lot of hate that came to him too after that interview. Believe that, if you believe nothing else. And Mr. Mayor, because you served admirably as well, you can pontificate on this too.
Yeah, listen, we had this, it was a group of us from all over the country that were Marines, and we had this one term, MFTs. These were Marines for title. Like these guys, they were pushed around in school or whatever, but they needed to prove to somebody they were tough. J.D. Vance strikes me as one of those Marines. Wow. The idea that you sit around and talk about somebody's service is absolutely ridiculous. And what you're doing is exactly what Ventura is talking about. You're playing off the idea and the fact that people don't really know what it means to be a service member in this country. People always brag about how much they love the troops and everything that we got going on. But in actuality, they don't have a clue about what it means to be a service member. And I mean that because I watch movies with my wife about military veterans, and it ticks me off.
Yeah.
Because I see things that are completely wrong. People saluting inside of a building, people outside without a cover on, and J.D. Vance pretending that he did something more admirable than this guy who served 24 years is one of those things. Buddy, for every veteran in this country, we know your type, and it's not cool. You don't talk about veterans. You don't talk about service. We know the people in the chow hall don't serve meal one time. 30,000 people, depending on the size of the union, are going without food. Firefighters in the military that don't put out a fire, you got a whole barracks of Marines that are in trouble. MPs not doing their jobs, and I can go on and on about people and the importance of people doing their job, and that's it. It is absolutely disgusting that he's playing on the fact that Americans don't know what it means to be a service member. It's disgusting, and he will not be let go on this. I see veterans all over the spectrum snapping at Donald Trump and J.D. Vance about this. It's not a game.
Not a game. It's not a game. The missteps continue.